Okay, to work out angles of any magnitude, the first thing you need to do is find out the related angle. Now, a related angle will often be represented by theta, and it's always going to be an acute angle between 0 and 90 degrees, or 0 and pi on 2. So in the first quadrant, you could say theta, just say, is that angle there. Now remember, positive angles are always measured anti-clockwise from 0, or from the positive direction of the x-axis. Now, if we were to reflect this point over in the second quadrant here, and we were to draw a line down here, then this angle here would also be theta, because those two triangles would end up being congruent triangles because the radius is the same. What have you got? Right angle, hypotenuse, and you've got a side. Those two sides are also the same because we reflected it, so the y coordinates would be the same. So if those two triangles are congruent, then these two angles are also equal, because then they would be corresponding angles of congruent triangles. Okay, so now just say, working in degrees, that angle there is, let's say, we'll say it's 135 degrees. So we'll do an example in degrees first. Alright, now 135 degrees is actually the angle from 0 all the way around there. That's 135 degrees. So 135 degrees is equal to 180 degrees minus theta. Okay, can you see that? Because those two angles are supplementary. So you've got this angle here, which is 135 degrees, and then theta, and those two angles are angles on a straight line, so they add up to 180. So therefore, 135 equals all the way around 180 minus theta. So to find out what theta is, well, you can see it's going to be 180 minus 135, or 45 degrees. Okay, so that's how we work it out in degrees. And you can also work it out in radians by, just say you've got 135 degrees, well, that's going to be 135 on 1 pi on 180 radians, which is 3 pi on 4. So we'll say 3 pi on 4 radians. Now, 3 pi on 4 again is that angle there. And that's going to equal pi radians, which is the angle all the way around, minus theta. Minus theta. So to work out what the theta is here, which remember theta is going to be the related angle, you can use your knowledge of fractions. So this is like 3/4 of pi equals pi minus how much of the pi? And so then theta is going to be 1/4. Because you got a whole pi minus 1/4 of a pi. Pi on 4 equals 3/4 of a pi. So, and you can also see if you were to convert 45 degrees to radians, that'd be pi on 4 radians. Alright, so that's angles in the second quadrant. Angles in the third quadrant. So if we were to just say reflect this point down here, then it's the same reason why we had congruent triangles before. That'd be another congruent triangle, and the angle there would be theta. So now, this time, the angle represented by this point here is actually going to be from 0 clockwise all the way around to there, to that point there. And you can see that's going to be 180 degrees plus theta. So just say that angle there was, say, 225 degrees. You can say 225 degrees equals 180 plus theta. And the reason why you know it's plus theta is because 225 is more than 180. So then you can say that theta equals 45 degrees. And similarly, in radians, you would say 225 degrees is 5 pi on 4 radians. So just by going 225 pi on 180 and simplifying. So 5 pi on 4 radians is going to be pi plus theta. Now the indicator that you know it's going to be plus is because 5 pi on 4 is an improper fraction. And then you can say kind of like, you got a whole pi plus you got to add another quarter pi to get 1 1/4 pies, because 5 pi and 4 is 1 1/4 pies. So it'll be like that. You can see then the angle there is going to be theta again. And then just the same in the fourth quadrant there. If we were to reflect this point down here, and we'll have another congruent triangle, and then theta would be this angle here, but the angle that we want, remember, positive angle from is measured anti-clockwise from 0, so we're going all the way around here, and what is that angle there? And you can see that it'd be full revolution, which is 360, all the way around 360 minus pi. So just say that that angle there was 315 degrees, that angle there. It's represented by 315 degrees. So we're really talking about that angle there is 350 degrees. And you can see that's going to be 360 degrees minus theta. So then theta is 45 degrees again. Or in radians, 315 degrees, to convert that to radians, it's 315 pi on 180, which is 7 pi on 4. So if we had 7 pi on 4 radians, that's going to be 2 pi minus theta, equal to 2 pi minus theta. So what is theta? So this one, using a knowledge of fractions, we can say theta, just rearranging, equals 2 pi minus 7 pi on 4. I'll do it up here. 7, sorry. Theta equals 2 pi minus 7 pi on 4. Just rearranging this equation to make theta the subject, moving theta over here, moving 7 pi over 4 over there. Okay, then we can find a common denominator. It's 4, that would make that 8 pi minus 7 pi, which is 1 pi, or pi on 4. Okay.